So, Twitter buddy, Wide Awake Media, the WEF's Nita, no, I'll have to be very careful with the second name of this individual, Farahane. You know, if you're Scottish, you'll see, you'll maybe relate to why. Anyway, suggests that brain sensors embedded in headphones and other devices will soon be keeping tabs on your mental state. Things like, are you tired? Are you paying attention? Is your mind wandering? Are you happy or sad? TED Talk in November of 2018, Farahane gave a TED Talk on the potential impact neurotechnology decoding human thoughts could have on societies around the world. She delved into the potential ethical obligations we as a global society think about this. Now, you're hearing it with so many politicians, but especially in Scotland. The Scottish Parliament, that lodge. Yeah, they're all talking about global society. That really should set off alarm bells because their attitude as regards global society is, as a global citizen, if we tell you to go to somewhere else, Timbuktu, wherever, because the job that you need is there, well, that's where you're going to go, yeah? People don't realise it's not just about destroying family values, what have made us so successful for thousands of years, and intergenerational family relationships, you know, the extended family living within an area by and large. I mean, it's only in recent decades that that's become less and less of a thing. But no, we want it shredded. So, and believe me, they have all the data. Think about that. This is why they're constantly blending now AI and vast processing power and software and all the rest of it to literally data mine every aspect of your very being, seriously. And then it's shredded through the technocracy to divide, to just basically over time, well, make humanity far less of a thing. Well, they live like gods, don't get me wrong. Their plans for us are not the plans they have for themselves. But with that in mind, let me, under fair use, play you some of this.
Devices. So these are brain sensors that are starting to be embedded in everyday devices, but until now have been a number of niche companies that really have focused on mindfulness and meditation. The use of, for example, brain sensors that can pick up electrical activity in the brain at a pretty low resolution, but advances in AI have both improved what the signal is that can come from the brain and enabled the miniaturization of those products. As a lot of the major tech companies start to invest in these brain sensors, it's a huge, I think, untapped market in many ways of integrating them into everyday devices. These are earbuds or watches or headphones and the soft cups around the ears. Many of those products are hitting the market this year, and others are hitting them within the next 2 years, such that people can listen to music, a phone call, etc., while having those devices in ears. Initially, what they will be capable of doing is very high-level brain state reading. Things like, are you tired? Are you paying attention? Is your mind wandering? Are you happy or sad? They maybe enable interaction like up, down, left, right for interaction with other technologies. And they're being embedded into things like virtual reality headset.
And remember, as she's casually saying this, you've got to actually ask yourself, is it already out there? And I would say, if they're telling you it's starting to be implemented, it's probably been implemented for the last few years. And of course, so many people's headphones are connected to their phones. And of course, most of their headphones are now wireless, AirPods, all the rest of it. And what data mining are they doing? Yeah. But nobody seems to give a shit. Nobody seems to care, even the real damage it's doing in real time to the blood-brain barrier. But nobody seems to care. But hey, how about the same individual and under fair use, let me play you this.
convicted in their belief. And so, to Jack's point about using some of the lie detection technology, particularly for eyewitnesses, not only can we put information in without blowing up your brain, we can put it in and then you can believe it so sincerely that the problem is you can testify to that effect. And in fact, we've seen this in a number of ways. The police were doing lineups where the suggestibility of the information was so strong that people would later identify a person that they'd seen. For example, you show a picture lineup and only one person has on a jacket and nobody else does. And then when you go to the live lineup, because your brain triggered that there was something different about that person, you identify the person who you've just seen, but not realizing that it's because of some difference. And then you've seen them twice, and now you're asked to testify as an eyewitness, and you're so convicted about having seen that person commit the crime, even though that person's utterly innocent, that it becomes a planted memory. And so there's some really interesting research that we can plant false memories in the brain. And in a different context, one of the emerging areas that's really interesting in law neuroscience is pain detection. And once we understand the circuitries that cause pain, I guess the question is, could we then instill pain and use that in many coercive measures in the legal system as well? So.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you want to add?
I mean, we're not joking when we say you're dealing with absolute psychopaths. Absolute psychopaths, and they have a view of the rest of us you would not believe. Obviously, you don't believe, but this is what they're chatting about quite happily, quite freely in the WEF. And I would argue a lot of that is already being implemented. Yeah. I mean, have you noticed just the amount of people that have all this tech on their heads, but they never seem to be that happy? Yeah. And then, of course, the health issues over time. But that's not enough for them. That's only the beginning. Seriously. People are becoming way, way too comfortable with what they have surrounding their bodies. Way too comfortable. And I'll speak to you soon.